Scott Clark.
And I'm Rick Entrop.
And we are coming to you from the coffee shop. It is March 9th, and we are at Bauhaus Coffee in Capitol Hill. We were at this coffee shop before. However, it was in a different location.
Yeah.
They closed that.
I don't think I was.
You were not.
No,
this was like
this
maybe our third or fourth podcast.
This is that was our podcast before Rick.
Pre-Rick PR.
Pre-Rick
era.
PR.
Yeah.
It was the prick era.
This is not the dick era.
That's true. And but they just reopened in a different location. This building used to be the Capitol Club, which I was just telling Scott used to be like a hipster gaming nightclub. Like
Fun.
Not officially, but like people would come here to play games at night and have a beer, and like the tables would be like a whole bunch of nerds with beers and a D&D board or something.
Okay.
Not board, but you know,
Right.
like
Sure.
D&D
Or one of
doesn't have a
those,
board.
what's that? Citizens of Catan or Clans of Catan or
Settlers,
what is it? Settlers
of Catan.
Okay.
Or if you're our brother-in-law, Settlers.
Settlers.
I don't know why he pronounces it like that.
Settlers.
They're settlers.
Yeah.
He drops a
Settle people. Settle.
Yes.
Settle.
Okay. We're on the move. Have now settled.
Yes.
Exactly. And it's Daylight Savings Day. So to me, I'm glad because when I woke up, I thought I was going to die. And I was like, maybe I'm sick because I cannot get up right now. And then it occurred to me it was Daylight Savings. And I was like, oh, I'm fine.
I thought I set my alarm wrong. I really did. I was like, why is it going off now? It's still dark. It's normally the lights peaking, like, well, last month or last week, it was still vaguely, you had that twilight.
Well, how early did you wake up today?
6:20.
Okay, so it would have been 5:20, so yeah. Your body was confused.
Oh, man.
Well,
Rick's just
I
like,
hate that national jet lag crappy thing that they do to you every year. It's just like, what's the point?
But when we fall back, that's
no
glorious. I love that.
Yeah, but then it's just sweet sorrow because you know it's going to be pretty on the other end.
But there's a big contingency of people who want to get rid of it.
Yeah.
And it's
Arizona
growing.
doesn't even do it.
Yeah.
So,
is that the only state that doesn't do it?
Or
is it the southern?
I think there are counties in another state, and I can't remember which state, but I've heard that there are places that are just like, yeah, we just don't do that.
Yeah, that and the electoral college, and of course, then how would they fix the voting system?
How indeed?
Yeah, what would they do then? They can't put the person in power that they want.
I would be in favor of just leaving it because I'm a really good, I'm a wake up 5 minutes before your alarm goes off.
Oh, not me.
Anytime and I don't even set my alarm to the same amount, but my internal clock is like totally just watching the clock in my brain while I'm asleep, and then it's like, oh, you have to get up in a minute, Peggy.
I'm
like, what?
Button.
And I look at it. Oh, I still hit the snooze button, but I always wake up and look at the clock and go, 4 more minutes.
I guess it doesn't make you any less tired, does it?
Yeah.
No, it just makes me aware of what time it is, and so then when time changes, I'm totally the jet lag, where I'll be confused about the time for a couple of weeks.
And then they've changed the date that it happens too. I guess when George Bush
that was
in
a Bush
office.
thing.
Yeah, so it's not arbitrary. It actually
because it used to be on the solstice, or it related to the solstices.
So it would have been closer to the springtime.
Yeah.
Yeah, so farmers could get an extra hour of work in
April.
a day, I think was the whole premise, right?
Yeah.
Getting stuff to market or something.
Yeah, something like that. It was originally, and then in World War II it was for rationing. Because electricity was less electricity was being used. And,
totally.
Yeah.
You're sending me a text message.
It makes sense. I'm sending you a text message?
That's wrong away.
Huh?
I just now got a text from you.
Weird. I sent that
it's daylight savings time.
Right.
A long time ago. Well, because I got here and I was like, oh, I should check to make sure you guys are on your way, because if not, I'm going home and going back to sleep.
Yeah.
But you were. So.
From the coffee shop, Peg's bed.
I know. I totally would.
We should do that.
I'd be like,
Her bed is so
Scott
awesome.
are jerks. I hate you guys. And I'm recording from my bedroom with the lights off.
Right.
And then I just fall asleep halfway through it.
It's just are you a snorer? Yeah. Is there a snorer? I used to listen to Loveline, and they would actually pick up,
People
people would be on hold, and you could hear them sleeping.
Yeah. And Adam Carolla will talk about that, because he said that, when they were really, really popular, they would have people who would call in like hours early and just sit on hold, and then they'd pick up the phone at like 3 a.m. and the person just went like right into the phone.
Or the people that you can hear the fire alarm.
Yeah, like they've let the batteries in there so detector go. That drives me crazy.
Because what kind of you go on and on about what kind of animal that would what kind of animal exists in the world today that could chirping noise every 2 minutes. You just block it out.
Yeah, like if you don't jump on it and change it, you just start to like ignore it and you don't even notice it anymore. Because he'd ask them, he'd be like, "Do you hear that?" And they're like, "What?" that like chirping noise.
It would be every 35 seconds.
I'm sure I drive my apartment manager crazy because I can hear if there's like the hallway one's 2 floors up, and I'm like texting my apartment manager, "Hey, can you change the battery in that one?" Because it'll keep me up at night. Like I'll hear it and like I'm too. Maybe that means I feel like I get good sleep, but maybe that means I'm just a light sleeper or something.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm not though.
No, I don't know.
But I'm not sure.
You live in a city which has a lot of noise anyway, but to hear that through all the city noise.
But you're in Chicago too. I'm sure you're acclimated to the excess.
Maybe, but also like Christopher, our nephew, when he sleeps over at my house, he's a noisy person who falls asleep with the TV on and shit like that. And he says that I like verbally assault him in the middle of the night. Like I'll wake up and be like, "Why the fuck is the TV on?" and like throw a shoe at him, and then he'll wake up and be like, "Oh, oops," and turn the TV off. And then he'll ask me the next morning, like, "Do you remember sitting up in bed and screaming at me?" And I'm like, "Yeah, no, I was totally asleep." Yeah.
Well, I think if you're functioning, then you're, and not remembering it, and you're pretty well into your REM sleep.
I'm sure. And my Fitbit, my pedometer has a sleep function.
Okay.
And you can wear it on a wristband. And you set it to sleep mode, and then the next morning it will show you a cycle of your sleep, and every time you wake up. And like I used to be obsessed with paying attention to it because I'd be like, "Oh, how was my sleep last night?" And like, but now like I'm too lazy to do it ongoing. I did it for like maybe 4 months though. Like it was a long time, and it's really interesting to see like days where I'd wake up and feel really rested, and then I'd look at my sleep and it was like not good at all. Or days that I felt really tired and it was like completely unbroken sleep.
You were stoned. Okay. Yeah, well,
isn't that weird?
Who knows when the body needs sleep or what it does while it, is repairing, I guess. Or...
But one thing I did draw a very clear connection to is nights after I'd had a few drinks. Much worse sleep. And then I looked it up and it was like, you get a lot worse sleep.
Well, your body has to recuperate from the alcohol, so it spends its resources doing that rather than what your body would normally be doing.
Yeah, and you wake up a lot more, and like it was, and so I would
pee and drink water.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. It was like just a complete mess of sleep, and so now it's like I always think if I need good sleep, I make sure I don't have any, even though I'm drinking much less regular. I've had like 2 days of drinking this year.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Well, because I told you guys, didn't I? My rule is no wine no booze at all at my house in 2014 because of the training stuff.
So we'll have to cancel that keg party.
Exactly. We just have it at your house.
Oh, okay, there we
go.
But
like the Super Bowl was one of the days.
That's the loophole. She's not home.
All I have to do is go out.
It gets you out of the house.
Yeah, it does. So if I'm out with friends, I'm always like, "Hey, let's go get a cocktail."
There we go.
I've been drunk every night this week, but I haven't drank at home.
It's true. But really, like, it cut out 90% of my drinking. And it also is saving me a lot of money.
Sure.
So,
your liver's
drinking's expensive, especially if you go out. It's really expensive.
Your liver's probably giving you the thumbs up, too.
I guess.
But,
like, yay.
Yeah.
Well, that's part of the reason is, like, the way your liver processes alcohol. Oh, okay. If you're on a low-carb thing is...
Oh, right. It's a little different.
Yeah.
I was going to say on that subject of dreaming, Scott mentioned on the last podcast that they're actually able
really good, by the way. Anyway.
Oh, really?
I listened to it. No, I liked it. Have you guys listened to it?
Yeah.
How did
The
we do?
Scott and Rick had the first
Did we?
Peggy List podcast.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it.
Okay,
I was like,
cool.
oh, this is like, it was
right
funny
on.
because I was like, I don't know. I don't know what I was expecting, but it was
Well,
what
we
I
didn't
expected.
either.
I was like, oh yeah,
okay.
it's Rick
It
and
flowed.
Scott.
I thought it flowed pretty good. It was kind of fun. It was a little awkward to listen to because it was just him and I, and there's some dead spots, and they were like, all right, what are you gonna talk about?
I think we have plenty of content.
Oh, totally. Well, you could tell that you guys had like decided on subjects.
Well,
you were like,
right.
here's
we
the next
couldn't
subject.
just go, how you doing? I'm doing all right. What'd you do? Okay.
But I liked it. And like, what did you do? The guilty pleasures. I was
Yeah,
like, oh, that's really good. I like
that was a neat thing that kind of carried through.
Sorry.
But I was going to say about my the thing that I watched on brain imagery, because Scott mentioned that they're able to like capture images from your brain now.
Yeah.
And it was a TED Talk, and the gal was explaining how the research is going, and basically they monitor the brain waves, and then they collate it with what people are looking at, and they try to pick out what that image is based on what the waves are doing where. And they can get like really blurry sort of images, but they're the same. I don't know if they can do color. I think they did sort of some
that's cool.
subtle color.
Grainy,
that's
black,
awesome.
like a grainy offset.
Yeah, totally.
That technology is advancing like crazy.
Yeah. So,
go ahead.
what she was saying was it's a matter of resolution now.
Oh, okay.
It's a matter of really, honing in and getting the detail in it.
We're like 5 years away from Inception.
Well,
something like
like Stephen Hawking, the Nobel winner in a wheelchair, he's got a thing embedded in his glasses that pick up his radio frequencies from his brain that's similar, where brain waves are doing certain things that they match up with words, and so it speaks for him. Because he has motion of a finger, he used to have this touchpad that he would talk with his finger, and it was like, if you hear stuff he did like in the 90s, it was much more slow, and now it like he narrates he narrated that one series on like National Geographic or Nova or something.
Cosmos.
It was some. I think
that
it was
Carl Sagan.
Yeah, no, that's right. That was Carl Sagan.
And then the new one is the Al's. What's his name?
Tyson DeGrasse.
Yeah. Which is on tonight, actually.
Is it?
Yeah,
tonight
at 9
on
Fox,
that.
I think. Yeah.
The
It'll be
Cosmos
on.
is it called?
Yeah.
It's a good one.
TV. That's probably why
It's a
daylight
good
savings
one.
time snuck up on us, because we don't have TV or cable.
Oh yeah.
Or
I'm sure.
Now our neighbor moved and we don't have internet.
Oh great.
So we're blind.
Wow.
I'm sure Cosmos will show up on Hulu. And I'm gonna eat the crap out of that because it looks really.
Yeah,
Neil deGrasse Tyson is his name.
Nice.
I was like, wait, I'm mixing his name up.
He's fun.
He's really interesting.
Very atheist too.
Oh yeah, I know. Which I'm really interested.
He can believe whatever he wants or not. That's fine.
But he's one of the big atheist speakers that they get to do like the debates and stuff with Christian people all the time. And
him
he's
and
a
that
really
guy that wrote like the God Theory.
Yeah,
or something,
Richard Dawkins.
Yeah, exactly.
He's my jam.
Yeah.
But it was interesting because the commercials are really like
they make it look all epic. And,
I love that. But it's like discover where you came from, where the world is. Like it sounds. It's funny to me when atheism like goes around the corner and sounds religious. Like it ends up sounding like it's very discover the origins of humanity.
Well, I think that's because they try to find a point to it all. It's like where's what's the whole point to it? It's like need to figure out
in the universe and
and hopefully it's not just through the wormhole remixes either. It's like because I watched through the wormhole and they. And shows like that, like the universe and those kinds of things, and it's just remixes of the same sort of messages.
I'm sure it'll be similar, but just with way cooler graphics and more interesting charts.
Oh, totally.
And a little bit more information.
Totally. And anything that you can, any way to like look at science in a visual sense, like through like a 3D animated thing, or like I love seeing how like cells work in the body, but it's like a big 3D replication of it. Like I saw one on how the eye works, and it was just really intricate, like how it picks up all the receptors and where those receptors go into the brain. But it was all like 3D'd out, and they flew through the whole.
I think just for that, I think we need to get cable back in my house just for that.
If I were you, I'd just get internet.
We can just get
I'd go straight internet. But
might as well. Well, because really, I mean, you can watch anything on. I mean. You can listen to full albums on YouTube, you know. You just go like if you wanted to like Styx or whatever
Uh-huh.
artist and whatever album, and just write full album at the end. People have posted the
Oh,
full
totally.
album that you can just sit there and listen to.
Right. I've
I
been
love
watching
that.
Walking Dead on YouTube.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. And it's a good way to like Pandora and Spotify are all like real commercial heavy.
Yeah.
But if you go to YouTube,
Yeah.
go full album or DJ mix, there's a whole hour of commercial free something for you
I
to
know.
watch.
Maybe you sit through 5 seconds of an
Right,
ad
yeah,
and skip it
yeah.
and get right to it.
I like that.
Yeah,
I
and
like that option.
sometimes there's like 4 or 5 hours of content that you can
Totally.
just watch
I love
totally
that.
streaming. Yeah.
YouTube is the best.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went old school this week and started reading a book. What? I know I'm a
reading?
famous
Did you-
anti-reader.
on like a Kindle Fire? Or?
Yeah, I'm on an old school e-ink Kindle. I love my old school Kindle though, because the screen is just butter. And even like sometimes I have a Kindle app on my phone and I'll read a book on the phone and I get a lot of eye strain. Or reading it on my computer screen, it actually almost makes my eyes go cross on the computer screen. It's really like if
Have
I
you ever read
read too much,
but put an auto scroll on and read and while it's just auto scrolling?
No, I
you get
feel like that would
disoriented
freak me
afterwards.
out.
Like you get off of a walking treadmill, you kind of.
I know.
Oh,
I
okay.
love that feeling.
Yeah.
No, do you know there's actually new apps for certain phones that do that eye track scroll for you?
Nice.
So when you reach the bottom, it scrolls up.
That'd drive me kind of crazy.
I know.
Though.
I feel like I don't know.
Like I'd have to now I got to concentrate on where I'm looking now.
I know. Yeah, I get that way too. No, but I have an old school Kindle that I bought like 6 or like it was like a year after they were new.
It's funny how technology is old. So books
know.
I think are the old school. But,
I know. So I didn't get the physical book,
not
but
the oldest school.
I downloaded a book from the library, and it's called 5 Days at Memorial. And I've been waiting to read this book for a very long time because there were like a billion people on the waiting list for the library, and I didn't want to buy it because I buy a lot of books and then don't read them, and so I'm trying to save money, and libraries are great. But 5 Days at Memorial, it's about Memorial Hospital in New Orleans, which oh no, Rick just spilled hot cocoa on his shirt.
Yeah. Well,
Boo.
I think it's
had a big chunk of chocolate at the bottom.
Oh,
of it.
that
Just kinda
sucks.
Hit me in the face.
So it's Memorial Hospital in New Orleans, which is the hospital at which you should catch it in your beard or it's going to drip more. Just do the whole beard. The other side has
Sorry,
it too.
guys.
Where the doctors got charged with hastening the death of some of their terminally ill patients because they couldn't get out of the hospital, and so they were dying without medical treatment because the generators and stuff were underwater. Do you guys have any memory of this? It was all over the news.
It was during the
Katrina.
Katrina,
Yeah.
And it's a social history, and like the prologue is like the research that went into it, and there's like 5 pages of names of people who were interviewed. It's like more than 500 interviews of people who were there, people who like rescuers, lawyers for the trials, like everybody involved. And like I'm about 3 chapters into it, and it's really interesting. Like at first she tells a couple of stories of like during the shit that goes down, and then the first real chapter is like other floods in New Orleans and like what the city did about them and how it got to the point, like there were floods in like 1925, 1926, 1927 that then caused this big like shit, we need to fix New Orleans, and so they put in the levees, and then it goes through like
But
the
they
70s.
didn't put in what was needed, though.
Right, but they like that's what they go into is like why they put in what they did, what had happened before that caused that, and then the things that happened in the 60s that made them go, oh, we didn't do enough because there's actually like these other problems, and it goes into like the land structure and why New Orleans is sort of uniquely difficult when it comes to floods.
Right.
It's really
below
interesting.
sea level.
Yeah. And they have that big lake that, like, they were talking about the difficulty of, like, pumping water and then having, like, if they're pumping water that's falling from the city, what happens with this nearby lake and what happens with sea level and how it's, like, all this kind of confluence of difficult land structures. And it was really, really,
say,
it's really interesting.
you know, if
and
there's
now they're
potential
just
of
getting
that-
to like the actual like Katrina. Like now they're starting to talk about like the people, the main players in this central, like the people
Right.
were stuck in this hospital, like what was happening to them the couple days before. It's really interesting. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was
Yeah.
interrupting you. So
It's just a really interesting book, and I love survivalist kind of stuff.
Right.
Like stories of true survival are fascinating to
like
me.
that movie, The Wolf.
Yeah, The Gray.
Or The Gray,
I
yeah.
actually just recently rewatched The Gray because
Yeah.
it's
I've never
so
saw it.
good.
I haven't seen it.
It's not a true story, but it's a very fascinating allegory about survival.
Liam
where,
Neeson,
yeah,
right? Yeah.
I love that movie.
Huh.
Like it's my jam. It's scary and sad, and like the acting is so good, and like the cinematography is beautiful. Like they're
Right.
stuck out in Alaska trying to get by, and there's a few scenes
to
in it that are just like
Tur
heartbreaking.
from your
Yeah.
book
Okay.
segment, but it's the thing I was gonna say is, I don't know. I'm kind of anti-insurance anyway. I mean, if you're worried about it, then plan for it. You know, don't just throw money at the situation and hope that it's going to take care of itself.
Right.
But so in that vein, if you're living next to the ocean,
Right.
maybe don't.
Right.
You know,
No,
move away.
the whole
Go
chapter
inland.
about
There's not.
like the
There's no
1920s,
reason to.
I was like, why do people still live in
yeah,
this city?
yeah. What are they?
Move away.
You know,
which we say that
because you're
living
just-
in Seattle.
But again, it's part of that socialistic where okay, we're gonna take taxpayer money and then
Right.
allocate it to this thing.
Yeah.
Where that just shouldn't happen.
Yeah.
You know, if you're
we got that when we moved over to Thailand. People were like, well, aren't you worried about tsunamis? I said, well, I live in the shadow of a volcano.
Right.
yeah.
I'm not really worried about it.
Yeah.
If it goes off, it goes off.
A volcano's a little different than
Have you
a
guys-
tsunami because
they've-
volcanoes could or could not happen. Tsunamis
Right.
happen a lot more frequently.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
in the
and
context.
have you seen the projection maps about ocean levels and the Seattle area? They published them in I can't
I know
remember
like California's
which.
supposed to fall
Yeah,
off.
they're
but-
really good. I'll have to post them to our Facebook page, but because I'll have to look it up. I want to say it was on the Seattle Times website, and they had these maps, which some of them were kind of humorous. Like they would
yeah.
name it like Burien Island and
Nice.
stuff.
Oh,
because
yeah.
it's based
Oh,
on
right.
like elevation
Oh, cool.
plus land or
Oh,
plus
right. So what happens
sea
when
level
the
rise?
water
yeah
rises, huh?
And
or landmass sinks. I
Yeah,
mean, it
totally.
does that too, right?
Yeah.
I'm high up enough on the hill that I might get out of it, but I was like, wow, if I was buying a house, I would probably look in this area,
Yeah.
like the top of Capitol
But
Hill.
people
the
do
top of
that
this.
because there's insurance. I'm covered, right? As long as I don't die, I'm set, right? You know,
I
and
don't
there's
think,
not.
I mean, I personally don't go, if I have insurance, things are solved, because insurance, I say,
Sure,
Right.
90%
Yeah,
of the time they screw you anyway. But
Completely. Oh, yeah.
just thinking about
Which-
like our false sense of security in
Yeah.
modern times
Right,
of things will generally work out. Like I don't think people who buy oceanfront property think, oh, this will be underwater at some point in
Sure.
the future, because
Right.
we have this like grandiose idea that like we're
Well, if you
we
play the
exist
odds,
outside of
odds
nature.
are good. It's
Yeah.
not going to happen,
within
really.
your lifetime,
Right, or
whatever.
in your
Yeah.
area or that
Yeah.
vicinity, but it's just,
Yeah,
you're
there's
playing
no-
the lottery that
Yeah.
it's not going to screw you. You know?
Totally, because if we all thought like that, Wyoming would be a lot more populated than it is right now. 'Cause we'd all
Sure,
move
yeah,
inland.
right,
like there's,
right.
you have the
Colorado,
risk
too.
benefit ratio of like I love the ocean. There's a lot
Yeah.
of commerce in ocean areas.
Oh, yeah,
Then you
it's-
have the downside of like higher risk of. But in Seattle, we have the earthquake, ocean,
And volcano.
Right. Like,
That's a
I was reading a
trifecta.
seismological thing, like a National Science Review article.
And sun depression
Yeah.
or whatever the
Seasonal
seasonal.
affective.
There you go. Yeah.
Do you know? Okay, I'll get to that in 1 second because I want to get to this. But they rated Seattle as the highest risk of
Oh.
major earthquake in this
Nice. Oh, yeah.
earthquake prediction
Right.
thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Seattle was #1 on the list. But did you know that Seattle Metro and Washington State, but specifically the city of Seattle, has never been the #1 suicide city
Oh, really?
in the
So it's
country?
sort of a fallacy,
It's
the
totally
seasonal
a-
depression, whatever.
It is. It's a
Huh.
complete urban legend. I learned
Huh.
this I recently took a training. It was an all-day training on the subject of
Yeah.
working with suicidal clients,
Huh.
Right.
which was fascinating. It was
Oh, yeah.
really good. I was like the least experienced mental health worker in the whole room. It was all like MDs and psychologists and psychiatrists and social workers who'd been in the field for 20 years. But they showed the list and we were like 17th.
Did
And
they go
we've
into
never been
the
number
military
one.
suicides? Because I think
Yeah.
there's more suicides in the military than in the whole entire population.
Yeah, it is really
Right,
bad.
There's something like that.
It's the thing with suicide is that it's so rare that it's hard to make any conclusions about it, which was what this whole thing was about. But in the military, like in the general population, it's like 1 per like million or something. Like it's
Right.
really low.
Yeah.
In the military, it's much higher, but the much higher is still very rare.
Okay.
And so, but because it's much higher, it's like 1 in 100,000, or I don't even know what the actual statistic is.
I heard
But it's a big problem in the military, and it's, I mean, clearly, like a lot of things the military people go
that
through.
we're not really naturally designed to do. I mean, yeah, we're naturally designed to fight, but not.
Well, and
For
high risk,
survival, though.
high risk
But for survival,
people,
exactly.
Right.
high risk people go into the military as well
Oh,
because
and
it's
they search them out too. It's like
because it's
a
an
psychological,
economic advantage for
Right.
people who are economically disadvantaged and come from inherently high risk
they even-
groups.
they
And then
even-
they put high risk people in very intense pressure.
Sure.
And then a lot of people go out of the military and have economic troubles after the military that
Right.
they didn't anticipate, and it's a really shitty system. Like
Well, there was
it's
even talk of having people
almost as bad as
like
prison in
immigrants.
some
It's like you
ways.
can become a citizen if you join the military. It's like
Oh
what
my gosh.
the heck?
No, it's like when I on my mission back in the day, I served with the U.S. Navy, doing like Navy church, and there were like so many people who were on the path to citizenship, which to me is like the downside of it. Like to me, that person is like, yeah, like that is the essential spirit of America. Is like I will risk my life for the country because I love it and I want to be a citizen, but it's not even a guarantee.
Right.
Like there's no guarantee you
Well,
become a
that's-
citizen, and
that's
I'm
my
like,
point. I think I'm
we're
a
gonna
believer.
just steal your life and not even
Yeah.
say
Oh, yeah.
if you risk your life for us, we will guarantee you
he's going right to the
citizenship.
front lines too. But anyway,
Totally, it's really messed
I'm a
up.
proponent for open borders.
Yeah, me too.
If we, as long as we fix our welfare system, so they're not coming over to get a free ride.
I think
Right,
even if
right.
even
If we
if
fix
we
those
don't,
two things,
I think an open border.
yeah, I guess there's only so much money we can spend anyway. I mean, welfare's going to be the first thing that gets cut once no one wants to give us any more money.
I think even
Except
if you
for corporate
don't
welfare.
fix welfare, the current state of our welfare system, if people, the thing that they've observed about open borders is if they're open, people might migrate for certain jobs, but they usually go back to their home country long term.
And they
so
never-
they don't collect public benefits. They just come, maybe pay taxes, go home, and that benefits us.
Right, but
And so,
I'm also saying that to eliminate the free ride, if you will, for our own citizens as well. You know, I mean, if you want to come here and be an American, great. Come here, come on in and grab a shovel or whatever. Get to work with the rest of us.
Right.
Be part of the.
Yeah, I think people who
labor force,
can work. I don't think people. I don't see welfare as a free ride. I see it as a
There's
I
quite a
just
few
don't-
people that do use it as a free ride.
not
Old
statistically.
dirty bastard was making millions of dollars and still collecting a welfare check.
Oh, was he? That's
Oh,
funny.
hell yeah.
Well, those
That's-
are anomalies. The biggest
yeah.
source of welfare is corporate welfare in the
Yeah.
United
Oh,
States.
for sure. Yeah.
The welfare
well,
queen is a myth
guaranteed.
that was
Yeah, and that's
invented
the
by
first
political
thing that should
people.
go.
I just heard a
Yeah.
And
statistic
it's
on the radio
targeting
that
poor people
But
and
it's also
vilifying them.
targeting
I don't
single
see-
women
It
and,
is.
and making them dependent
And
on the
single
state
women-
rather than
Right.
them going out and finding adequate husbands to do what their proper,
Well, I think
well,
more what it
more natural
is
role, I guess.
is not that it's targeting them to get them into welfare. I'm saying the image of the welfare queen is targeting poor people who are disadvantaged
Right.
and blaming them for their situation and saying that theirs sucks on the state when really the amount that they're collecting pales in comparison to corporate welfare.
Yeah, nothing.
Yeah,
Yeah, first,
Yeah.
I'd say corporate welfare is one of the top 3 issues
Yeah.
of our
Boeing's
Right.
at a negative 3%
Yeah.
tax status.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
They get a return, but pay no tax.
Well, and they also get tax incentives by shipping our labor off to other
Mm-hmm.
countries
Yeah.
too. And it's just like crazy.
Which then contributes
But-
to the problem. And
yeah.
then like really I think I don't think that like people are like, oh, sweet,
Yeah.
I can now
Yeah,
collect welfare.
in the grand scheme of our
'cause it's
problems,
so little.
yeah, social welfare is not that.
You know, I
obvious,
keep staring at the same book on the bookshelf, and it's
World
Black
Cruise?
Hamlet. Like every time I look
Black
at
Hamlet?
do you see it? It's right in my eye line. I'm pointing right at it. Look at my finger. There you go.
Is it, what color is the book?
Me and Kit.
No, Black Hamlet. I'm pointing right
there
at
you
it.
go,
There
yeah.
you go. I just keep looking at the book called Black Hamlet. It's like the title that keeps catching my eye. Anyway, no, I think
Notarized.
there's nice. Anyway, there's a lot of problems with it, but I think that we have constructed a public image of people in welfare that's very different than actual people collecting
First
welfare.
edition, 1947.
I kind of grew
maybe
up in
it's
the
a
welfare
rich
system
book.
myself, not as a foster child or anything like that, but I grew up being on welfare, and it's not a place
No.
to go. There's really
no.
And it's gotten much worse since you grew up, because worse in
Cost of
terms
living's
of
gone through the roof for
yeah,
one, so
of
you're
how
not getting
much
what
you
you need.
get,
Well, the problem was
time limits on welfare.
we needed it because my mom didn't have a job,
Right.
and then she used it as a crutch to get it where she needed to go.
Totally.
But when we'd go in,
Well, that's what it's kind of
she'd get
designed to
booted
do.
off all the time
Uh-huh.
because she did work, but still needed that assistance.
Yeah, they do the same
But
thing
we'd go into the office,
Yeah.
and there'd be somebody there getting like they were like in this dire need of, but they didn't really need it though. You can tell that it's
Well,
like they
that's
didn't
the
really.
thing too, is we all look at each other and say, you don't really need this, and I don't think anybody has. I mean, if you guys have been watching the Colbert Report this week, they've been talking about food stamps, and people, like, he did this montage of people on Fox News talking about, well, people on food stamps just go out and buy all this soda and all this fish, and
Yeah,
like,
because it's cheap.
I
The crap is
know.
cheap. If
I
you
know,
want to eat healthy,
but they're
it's
making
expensive.
all of these judgments about what people
Right.
what very poor disabled people are doing with the $40 they get a month in food
Yeah,
stamps. And
wow.
to me, it's like, can we all just stop looking
It
at
used
each
to
other
be-
going like, why do you need this?
It's-
Like, what's
it's
your
the red
problem?
herrings.
Because we look at ourselves and we can understand our own disadvantage, but we look
Right.
at other people and go, oh, you don't look poor enough to be poor.
It used
Well,
to
what
be
does
also
poor
too,
look like?
when
Like,
you would-
why do we do
you get a
that?
booklet with money in it. It would be like
Yeah,
these-
you rip them off, and
Yeah,
now it's
that
a
was
card.
actually
You get a card.
Yeah,
and
you
it's
get
a
the
little bit
EBT card.
more easier
Yeah.
to use. The before was like
I know, like humiliating.
Yeah, it was very humiliating.
I
They'd
know.
They'd line them out and
Yeah.
stamp them.
Uh-huh. And I think, I mean, I work exclusively with people who get food stamps, and the people who make $200 a month in what's called ABD, which is Assistance for the Blind and Disabled from the
Wow,
state.
that's all they get.
They get $197 for, that is their entire income, and in food stamps they get about $90 a month.
That's like,
And
what
they're,
do you do on that? That's not even rent.
you can't even pay your electric bill. Like
Yeah.
they don't pay very much rent, because my people are in subsidized housing.
Right,
and they
right.
pay $26. People on that income level pay $26 a month. But they can't run their heater because they can't pay their electric bill. Like, we have to get them assistance just to pay their electric bill, because that covers food and nothing.
Right.
And even those
But-
people though, like they have, like, people look at them and go like, why are you getting assistance? And it's like, well, this person is like trying to get Social Security, but if you have certain kinds of disabilities, Social Security is a
Right.
very long process. They're disabled in a way that you can't see because it's something like schizophrenia that's medicated. And so you look at them, and some of my clients, you look at them and go, well, they're not disabled,
Right.
but they have very intense psychological disabilities. And like, it's just like, I think we look around and we think we can know what it's like to be another person, but you just,
Oh, no.
like, you can't.
You
Right.
can't for anything,
You know?
whether they're handicapped or
I
blind
know.
or whatever.
Totally.
You can't
Well,
really
even-
put yourself in their position.
Exactly.
Completely.
And even like, I'm sure I've bitched about this on this podcast, because this guy, like, I keep myself from engaging with this person a lot. There's this guy who sells really shitty art in front of City Market. Have I talked about this before?
No.
Really shitty art, like these paintings that are just ugly and gross. And he sits in a wheelchair, and I've seen him sprinting down the street pushing the wheelchair,
Oh.
and he does not need a wheelchair.
Oh.
And the first time I saw him, I was like, oh, that
Sort of like the
asshole.
opening of Trading Places.
Yep, exactly. Oh, I love that movie with Eddie Murphy
Yeah.
pushing himself in the cart.
He's on the cart with it.
Oh my gosh, that movie's brilliant. But no, and like I get so mad at him, and I'm like, I'm sure he's really. I mean, if you're not a disabled person, why are you like?
Yeah, anybody
but he
that's got
doesn't
their hand
need
out
a
does not want to
wheelchair.
be there
Yeah.
with their hand out.
Oh, totally. There's so many social services in this city that, like, if
Well,
I ever
right,
saw one
but-
of my clients, like, begging on the street, I would, like, well, I'd pull over and pick them up. But, like, and that's the thing, like even if one of my clients who lives on that, less than $300 a month total, like, they have a place to live, they have access to services that are, like, socially funded, and I mean, it's way less than what needs to be. And even people getting in my program, there's a huge long barriers they have to get through in order to get it, because it's such a good program. But I don't know. I look carefully at things people like think about poor people, because I think they're crafted by politicians who want to take away funding.
You have an insider's perspective of
Right.
It's
my career is looking at public policy in terms of social welfare and stuff like that. So no, I know I'm super biased. I totally am.
It's a good perspective though, because it puts it like I said, just grew up in it.
Yeah.
And not really it wasn't my whole life.
Right, but having an experience related to it.
Right.
Well, and the welfare of the 90s doesn't exist anymore, because now we have TANF. We don't have straight welfare. So you can't sit on welfare. It's very specifically time locked. Yeah, it is. It's even more time constricted than unemployment.
Okay.
Which I think is good, because unemployment is something that you pay into, and
sure, it's another insurance.
Specifically,
Actually, I really don't. Why not put them, like, if you are able-bodied and you're good, mentally stable, but you need that assistance, why not just, while they're trying to get on their feet, give them something to do. Like
well,
help
there's
out.
a lot of problems with the work to welfare philosophy. Sorry, you were going to say something? I feel like I'm just like pontificating.
Yeah, no, I'm just trying to find an entrance there.
Go ahead.
3 things. You've heard that more people are on food stamps than any other company with Walmart, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
That's okay. So that kind of ekes into this whole wage thing, which I'd say there's 2 things sort of motivating. Well, our unemployment, which leads into the poor and people needing to be on welfare, and one of those is the fact that we put the medical insurance on the backs of our employers, which makes it cost even more to hire people, which makes employers not hire more people.
Right.
And the minimum wage, which also limits how many people employers can hire as well. If we got rid of the minimum wage, then you'd probably see a lot more potential for people to get hired and enter the workforce, rather than, because if someone's got to pay $10 an hour, they're only going to hire so many people.
Right.
But if they can lower that to 5 and get people actually into the system and into working, and like you said, they're only making $300 a month or whatever on whatever it is.
Right.
If they can find something that fills their day and they're actually being
month,
profitable for a company, companies would hire them.
Right.
They just, because there's a minimum, then that limits the company's ability to bring people in and have them do stuff for them.
But then you run into the problem with it. It's like, then you got that sweatshop type of.
Well, but then there would also be, but then there wouldn't be limited access to the marketplace, so more employers could come in and say, okay, well, come work for us now. So there'd be more competition trying to get that labor, rather than a barrier to try to get into that workforce to begin with.
And I think that's a good system, but there's, like, as it exists now, there's so many different, not only medical insurance and like minimum wages, but there's like 10 other things that are all like, it's like the fork balanced on the toothpick, you know what I mean? There's so many different structures that all work together in this way, that if you just pull out the minimum wage, then you screw the workers, because of how the whole system is set up now. So you have to, like, unravel that whole thing in order to get to...
Which we're going to have to do with a lot of our processes in our culture. Like, from the political...
If you're looking at, like, a company at Walmart, that's a little bit of a... they have record profits per quarter, and they can't afford medical for their employees.
Well, they can't afford it if they're still taking out their record profits.
They'll only hire part-time, so they don't have to have them full-time, so they don't have to pay for that.
Yeah, I know my aunt she was a greeter or something. I don't know what she did at Walmart, but then got cancer and got let go
Of
because
course,
she got
yeah.
sick. Yeah.
That sucks.
Right, but I mean,
But luckily, she had the foresight. She had an insurance that
Yeah.
Oh, good.
covered supplementary insurance that
Nice.
covered her losses and stuff. So
Right.
That's really good.
which
well, I'm not saying that people should make $2 an hour.
Right.
I'm just saying that if that's all you can make, at least you can do that.
Yeah.
Right.
You know.
Well, and there's totally, and I don't, what I was trying to say is that there's merit to that idea, but like as
Right.
it exists
Yeah, you
now,
can't-
if you only changed the minimum wage, it would screw people even harder than it is now because of all of the other structures that exist.
Well, because there's not the adequate competition to compensate for
exactly,
in the workplace.
I'm wondering
Yeah.
how raising the minimum wage in SeaTac actually affects.
There's just
Did
going to be
they do
less and
that?
less jobs because there's only so much of the
I
pie.
didn't realize
however,
they'd done that.
the airport got out of it because they're not officially SeaTac; they're the Port of Seattle.
Right, which is
That was the whole
point.
Yeah, that was the whole point because the workers inside the airport
For the
were
listeners, SeaTac, the city of SeaTac, passed a raise in minimum wage for the city of SeaTac,
right.
which I thought was a bizarre. Because if doing
Just
it
the
city
city
by
workers,
city
right?
like that, especially
Yeah.
because
Right.
SeaTac is so small. Like
Yeah.
I work at a place that is 30 seconds from the airport, and it's not SeaTac, it's Tukwila.
yeah.
Yeah, but
I'll
the
bet you
borders
the-
are really weird there, and it's a really small area. And they get, what do they get? Like $15 an hour?
I have no idea.
Something like
Yeah,
that.
it's 50. They
minimum?
raised it from
Yeah.
9 something or 10 something to $15 an
Yeah,
hour.
it was a big
the government's on such who cares, let's spend the money anyway. I mean, I think they see the well's got just only so much left, so might as well just spend it all because it's gonna water's not gonna run forever.
Yeah.
Pretty much because China's stopped lending us money. We're basically borrowing it from ourselves from the Fed, which I heard just the interest is like $500 billion for a year, which is more than our GPD for 1 year. So our GPD doesn't even cover what the interest is going to be for 1 year on the debt. So I mean, there's a limit to what people are going to let us do.
I more think of it that money at that level is so theoretical, and there's so like I think that's why
the
people
fallacy
are like
with fiat money. There's nothing to back it, so it's just going to it's
like the joke about how someone proposed that Obama mint a special edition $3 trillion coin to pay off our. Did you hear about this? It was all over the news.
That's
and
why
I was like, that's
I think
really
that's
funny.
why.
Well, they were doing it to point out the theoretical nature of our money anyway. And
Congress has the ability to mint their own coins.
Yep.
Speaking of coins, this is going to divert us a little bit. Did you hear that a couple about in California who walking in their property found $10 million?
Of just
coins?
pristine, excellent condition.
Where?
Just in California. I don't know exactly.
Yeah,
where.
someone
where on their
stashed them
property?
away.
Well,
they
have just I don't know if it's how big their property is, but they walk it.
Uh-huh.
And they were walking along, and then the lady looks down and actually noticed a can, like an old coffee can with the
They
press
found treasure.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
6 cans full of like the 1700
It's like
rare
historical
gold coins.
That's cool.
And then somebody came out and said, well, they were stolen. But these are like coins from like the 1800s,
Yeah.
like mid to late 1800s, and like
Wild.
$10 million worth. Just imagine that walking along and
I
it's like,
know.
she picks it up,
Still in the
gonna throw it
original
away.
packaging. No, I'm just
Yeah, that's what they were saying. It was because they were
They
uncirculated.
were
uncirculated.
well.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's insane.
And
I had
then-
a dream that was sort of similar to that, but it was like this box full of like really high valued stones, like rocks.
Okay.
That were worth like a ton of money, and I was trying to smuggle them out, and it was really weird. And I woke up and I was like, that was a really good dream. Like it was, I was like trying to get this, like trying to be nonchalant, like no big deal. I just have this box, but it was full of like really expensive things.
Take like a Midnight Express, tape them around your
Just start swallowing them.
Yeah, I should.
Be
No,
a
it was
be
actually
a rare gem mule.
it was in like a wooden box that had like a weird label on it for something, and I was like trying to get it out of this store. It was very weird.
I can't wait till you can just replay your dreams.
I know. Some of them are really fascinating.
I think that's all he would do during the day. Oh, what was this about? Probably just create more mysteries, I think, than solve anything. That'd be interesting.
I would love to do that though. Just walk along my property or just look down and see like this rusty can. The lady's gonna throw it away. She's gonna just like, who left this here?
And then she tried to pick it up and it weighed 40 pounds.
Yeah.
Have you seen the video where the guy buys a property and there's a couple of warehouses? And inside there's like all these antique cars, just one after the other after the other.
You got it really cheap.
That's
he got the land really cheap, and who knows what's in it, kind of thing, and just like millions and millions of dollars worth of just old relic cars, all covered. And
I wonder what that does to the collection market though, because you find that kind of because all of a sudden, because these are 1,700 coins that were not on the market before, and there's some of them that they can go up to $1 million a piece.
It's crazy.
And then they go onto the market, it kind of floods the market.
Yeah, maybe.
I wonder with 3D printers, if you could just print your own relic. But I guess you'd have to be able to model it first.
Yeah, you'd have to have the right. I mean, for a lot of the gold stuff, I guess it's not the value of the gold, but the historical value of the coin.
Those 3D printers are slow.
Are they?
They are now.
My son, they're learning how to use them in school.
Oh, cool.
And it takes he's making this little vase, and it takes 9 hours to print it out because it has to each layer has to cure.
Totally.
Have you seen the 3D printed gun?
I heard about it,
and it fired, right?
Oh yeah.
It was a metal.
That's crazy.
I seen the one where they made a bicycle.
Oh, nice.
It didn't work very well, but it still worked. They made it as a rideable bicycle. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's going to be crazy when they can 3D print food. There's our there's a food stamp problem.
Yeah, the literal food stamps.
Well, they can do meat. They can do leather, and they can create synthetic meat. And
crazy.
Isn't that like in Finland they did that?
I don't know.
They grew it.
Yeah.
They grew the meat.
That's cool. I'm growing meat right now.
Well,
that's kind of gross, but
we are meat.
Totally,
we are what we don't excrete.
Exactly. Speaking of which, I have updates on Peggy's privates. Woo! Not to totally jump subjects, but growing meat just made me think of it. So, a few things. Number one, last week I did for the first time. And I've attempted to do this about 10 times in the past. My coach always,
Nice.
No,
Sorry.
No. I have, but not full force. But I'm getting a lot better at it.
Okay.
Because there's the fill-in coach who's always trying to make me hit him. Every time I work with him, he's like, "Let's get in the ring," and then he puts the catcher's mask thing on, and I just try to punch him in the face.
Okay.
So I'm getting a lot better at that, but still, it's still.
Is it more just trying
stressful.
to hit something in movement?
A little bit, but he wants me to get comfortable, throwing a punch.
Putting your weight into something.
Yeah. And it does help because I threw a couple of punches that were like half. I was like, oh, okay, that was about half my force, and so I'm getting there. But no, I've tried this about 10 times. A full 2-minute unbroken wall sit. And that doesn't sound like a lot until you're about a minute 15 in, and you've got burning down the thighs. And what my coach does is he'll do he'll get me distracted so that he'll have me throwing punches while I'm doing it, and then put my hands up in the air, and then throw a tennis ball. We'll kind of play catch, so that I'm not.
All the little mini muscles have to kind of adjust to that?
Well, mostly just to distract me, so I'm not just sitting there counting seconds.
Oh, I see. So you can go longer.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's also that you get the added benefit too of the little isolator muscles too that are working on.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. There's kind of a multiple, but this was actually like throwing some stuff, and then someone came in and he walked away, and I just sat there and focused on a point in the distance. And at a certain point, blackness was closing in.
That's how they hypnotize
and I was
people. That's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, totally. And I totally I think I stopped breathing, and then I heard the bell, and he was like, "Oh my God, you did it!" And then I just fell down.
Oh,
like I just kind of crumbled and then like straightened my legs and it was like straighten, and then it took me like a full minute to stand up.
Kind of like if you have your sleeves rolled up and you're on the phone and your arm just seizes up and you can't open it.
And then you can't straighten your leg. Exactly.
Oh.
So then, like seriously, the 2-minute mark was like my Everest.
Nice.
And now I've done it.
Like a 4-minute mile kind of thing?
Exactly.
Cool.
So now, then I went home and looked up the world record for a wall sit. 11 hours and 15 minutes.
Okay.
And I was like, I feel like maybe someday
I'll bet you they were
that.
like under 100 pounds or something.
Well, it's a woman who did it. And
the
she
lower center of gravity.
She also broke the record for, they call them sumo squats.
Yeah.
They're the ones where your legs are a little far apart and you go down and touch your elbows to your knees and then stand back up. The most sumo squats in, I think it was like 30 seconds or a minute or something like that.
Just like a little
speed.
Piston.
Yeah, totally. And so she must be like her thighs must just be like
like the triplets of Belleville dudes. Sorry, I know those have come up before. But,
oh my gosh, her leg muscles must be crazy. But I was like, I would like to. And I was telling my coach, and he's like, "You're not going to do that." And I was like, "But it would be cool, like just have like a half hour. Like my goal is like a half-hour wall sit.
Yeah.
If you could just do a wall sit for a half hour."
So you basically just you put your back against the wall and then put your legs
at 90 degrees, and just sit there. And
hold yourself
wouldn't it be
up.
awesome?
Good time to read.
Yeah, totally.
Break out the Kindle.
Yeah.
So now my goal is 3 minutes. So, because now that I've done the 2-minute one time since then, because that was the week before I was gone from here. So this week I did it again, and it was like a little bit easier, but still really freaking hard.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to get up to a point where I can do 2 minutes no sweat, and then I'm going to go for 3.
Yeah, cool. I remember in gym class, one of the hard things for me to do was the dips. Where you do the chest dips. And
those are really
hard. And I could only
hard.
do like 2 or 3 at the start, but then I could get up to where I was doing like, in the 20s and 30s.
Mine was pull-ups.
Yeah.
Oh,
Same
pull-ups
thing.
are crazy. Yeah. I'd like to be able to do a pull-up. Wouldn't it be cool if I could do a pull-up? Like, it would be so unexpected. I would do them at parties and stuff. I'd just be like, hey, check it out. Woo!
Nice. I like that. Do they, in some workout places, that they have like assisted dips and pull-up machine?
Yeah,
you stand on a weight.
Yeah.
And that weight actually helps with the assisted.
We had that at the Court Club, the place we worked at growing up. No, my gym is old school, but we do have a dip machine, and like right now I can hold myself up, but I can't dip yet.
Okay. Yeah.
And we have pull-up assisters, which are the things you put your elbows in.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
just like a sling.
Well,
yeah, exactly.
Do you
but
do
they don't
the
pull
like
you.
hang off the side of a bench dip?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Because those are kind of the easier way to do it.
Right. Those are really hard for me.
Yeah. Well, also because it's a little bit different position.
Exactly.
Your arms are behind your back.
And I have a really I can't like it's hard for me to grab hands behind my back.
Yeah.
I have short arms and wide shoulders.
The T-Rex.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry,
I am. I have a really.
Yeah.
But I would like to be able to do them more.
Yeah.
But it's like building up strength, and I'm like now my main coach has this master plan. Like he thinks of me as like his. And every time I ask him to do stuff, he's like, just trust me. And I do because of what I've accomplished so far. I'm like, cool.
So far he hasn't steered you wrong.
Exactly. Okay. He's like, we'll get to it. Like, he's building up all of the little other things that will help. Like with push-ups. Or no. It wasn't. It was doing, we have this dance floor that's like slick, and you put your feet on felt pads.
All right.
And it's for doing footwork and stuff.
Nice.
And
ballet.
But you do they call it the alligator, where your feet are on felt pads and you're in push-up position, and then you walk on your hands across this dance floor. And I couldn't do it, and I couldn't do it, and I couldn't do it, and then one day I could just do it. And he was like, well, that's because I was doing these other things that were building up to this, and so you just had to wait until you were strong enough, and now you can do that.
Yeah, that's where the stabilizer muscle.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Like P90X on crack, sort of.
I think P90X is crazy.
Yeah, well, I've never tried them.
I think if I did, I wouldn't even try P90X at this point. The people I know who have done P90X are insane. Like they're those like obsessive exercisers that frighten me, because they are willing to devote 3 hours of every day to working out, and I'm like, nope, not me.
Plus, it's at home. I can't do that stuff at home. You put it on, it's like, nah, I'll just pause it and do it later.
Yeah. I know, totally. Yeah. But the other coach that I work with, the one who wants me to hit him in the face, his name's Russell, and I just think he's wonderful.
Was he the guy that took you over the edge that one time?
Okay. Yeah. And he, I worked out with him a couple of times this week because I like going to his classes. But because I was out of town last weekend, I rescheduled one of my privates with him because he does a lot of evening privates. And I got there and he was like, what do you want to do? And I was like, I don't know. And he was like, I know. And he was like, no, I mean, what do you want to do? And then I was like, you know what? I suck at, well, and that's the thing is like with my other coach, we do like a lot of getting in shape and like 2/3 getting in shape, 1/3 boxing technique.
Gotcha. Okay.
And I was like, I don't know how to shadow box. Like every time it's like, oh, shadow box, I just feel stupid and I don't really know what I'm supposed to be working on. And so we did a full half hour of just 1, 2, and a little bit of 3, 4, 5, 6 of the punches, but very detailed, like super slow-mo.
Right.
Like very specific technique stuff, like critique of my stance and how I throw the punch and the leaning forward and what is the exact moment you turn over.
Oh yeah, because there's a
Oh yeah, and like the fact that this isn't turned over, this is turned over. And like what I just did for the listeners was like if your knuckles are up, that's not a turned over punch. You want your thumb down.
Really? And how from a 9 to 3 to a 12 and 6.
Exactly, how to go from this to this and see that was even bad because you don't want to lift your elbow.
You want the last thing to spin.
Pop, like that, and even like that in like 1 second. I cover my face, but I'm overweight and have huge boobs, and so he wants me to stand like this, which is with my fists out. Okay. Because he was saying that as I lose weight, my hands will go in.
Right. Yeah, you'll lose the.
And I should have my arms lined up correctly in order to learn the right snaps.
Right. Instead of adjusting for how your body is now.
Yeah. And so before I was like doing the covering my face, but now I'm doing this like open chested thing, and it's really interesting. It was so fun.
It'll naturally come in.
Yeah, like as things change, it'll come in.
Cool.
And like my punches will be harder, and so even if I'm not really covering my face, it won't matter because I'll be hitting so hard that
best defense is a good offense.
Exactly. Anyway, it was really fun and and it was just really interesting. And so now I'm just trying to, because now I've been doing 6 months of like holding my hands really close to my face. And like now I'm trying to like get these other things into my muscle memory because when I got it really perfect, the 1-2 was like pow pow, like it was so like you could feel it just like lightning, and I was like, ooh, like that's awesome. Really hard punches.
Do they happen to have a poundage meter that you can hit and get?
No, but I wish they did. That would be fun.
Yeah, exactly.
I would love that.
Drago hitting the.
But this coach told me, which I never have any doubt about this, but he was doing these things where he would press against. He would have me do punches from different angles and press against my hand to get me to feel the difference of like if my elbow's back too far, I can't do it. And it was like he put his hand on and I pushed, and then he was like, oh wow, and he was like, you're the strongest girl I've ever worked with. And I was like, I'm the strongest girl I know. Yes. I'm sure there are girls out there who are stronger than me.
Right.
They just don't happen to.
Most of them are not, because I have the freakish Entrop muscle strength.
You should get into MMA. I mean, if you really wanted to, get into a career where I don't know, because all the girls that are in MMA are all these small little 80-pound things.
I would just sumo them and then punch them in the face.
Well, I mean, I don't know.
Well, this is what my other coach, my main coach, Rich, he told me. He said, oh, if you can catch them, you'll win, but you won't catch them. like at this
True.
point,
Right,
because
right.
and that's why he's trying to build my fitness and speed,
Yeah.
because he's like, you're way stronger than any girl you're gonna fight, but they will be more athletic
Right, they'll be able to get out of the
than
way.
you at this
Right.
point, which is why you have to get super dancey and fast.
Yeah, they'll gas you.
Because
Deceptive with your speed.
exactly, which is why he doesn't work like we've not
But
lifted
you
weights
gotta
at
get.
all.
You should probably get a good jab going then.
I know,
so that
I'm
you have a
working on
nice
it.
quick setup too.
Uh-huh.
Because if you can daze them, then you can really unload.
Right.
Totally.
So that was Holmes.
Pete
Larry
Pete
Holmes.
Holmes. Larry Holmes.
Well, that's
yeah.
what that's what
his.
eventually.
He's
He
fun
just had
to
these
watch.
big, wide freaking
Uh-huh.
hammers that he had this really quick
That's
jab.
what pretty much
Totally.
lost. That's what Tyson's downfall was. He would get gassed out.
Yeah.
If you
Oh
could
yeah.
get
If the Leon Spinks
Right.
fight, Leon Spinks just tore him a new one. So he
Right.
would just float out ahead of him and
Uh-huh.
just keep
Right.
popping him. Which
Totally.
because he the way he would win is just to get in there and get a good one or two hits. But if you're not there for the hit, then
Right.
Right,
You know.
totally. Anyway, it's really interesting to me, which like my assumption is that I will never actually fight anyone, but I'll spar, and I mean someday I might like one coach told me, he was like, there's no one for you to fight. Like if you even if you lose
Right.
100 pounds, your weight class, no one will fight you because you'll have so much muscle on them.
What about
that-
like pro wrestling?
I know.
I mean, not to
a 40-year-old pro
Yeah,
wrestler.
Hey,
Glam.
well, no, I mean
It would be so fun.
yeah.
I'd do that in a heartbeat.
I mean, you've seen the South Park that goes
totally.
into wrestling, right?
Oh, I
There's
would
like
love
the
to put on a
whole-
costume and
Yeah.
scream into a microphone and then fight
Totally.
someone.
I
That's
could-
so me.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
especially because you're doing all the conditioning that would put you,
Totally.
You
keep
can
you out
would
of
be
most of
fun.
harm's
You
way.
could
I think, but-
reignite Glow, the glamorous ladies of wrestling.
I know,
Yeah.
totally.
There's women wrestlers.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's not
I used
like
to watch them.
Yeah, in fact, I'd rather watch women wrestling than guys. Really, I
Yeah.
mean, if you really want to break it down. But,
Totally. No, but I would
fact-
like to fight someone, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Because my coach was saying that once there's a weight point that he has in his mind that
Okay.
once I get down to that weight, then I can
Yeah.
start sparring.
Once you start getting hit, you're going to want to hit back.
Oh, yeah, I know.
I'm pretty sure.
Oh yeah.
so,
well, and it's
whatever.
all Olympic style, so it's not
Yeah,
like
okay,
I mean,
so you
I'm
got
not gonna.
headgear
Yeah,
and-
Yeah.
it's protected, so but sparring, he was like, oh no, I wouldn't have you spar other women because all the girls who come in to fight are 100 pounds less than you,
Right.
and you would hurt. So I would put you with a guy who's just less experienced than you. And I was like, oh, I see. Like he's got this whole like strategy going.
Okay,
And
cool.
I'm
That
like, well,
sounds like
that's
he's
cool.
really.
I'll have someone to fight.
He's got a
That'd be
passion
fun.
for his work.
Yeah.
That's cool.
But I don't think I would ever do
I like
it
his
like an
thinking,
official
but man,
fight.
I don't know if I'd want to be that guy sparring against
I
you
know.
because how emasculating is that too?
True.
I mean,
Yeah. Hey.
It's like I gotta, even though I'm
Well,
less
in this day and age,
experienced,
though,
I
Uh-huh.
do.
people got to get over there.
I know, it's true. But there are a lot of guys who spar with women in the gym occasionally. Because there was this one woman who, because a lot of times like the featherweight guys don't have a lot of other guys to spar with, and so they'll spar with a woman because she's
rather
a lighter
than
weight.
a couple weight classes above.
Exactly,
Yeah.
because it's better, and like I said, it's sparring. It's not really throwing. Like I mean, you're throwing punches, but you're not like
You'll
more
also be
indifferent,
worried
like-
about
knocking someone out.
hitting in the chest.
I
It's like,
Ouch.
yeah.
Yeah,
well,
totally.
that can't be fun.
No, they should have a belt for the chest.
Yeah.
Like, no, you have to hit between the belt.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah,
Nothing in the grope area.
Yeah, totally.
It's like
Anyway.
below the belt and above the belt.
Exactly.
Sorry.
Rick just made a boob feedback
Yeah.
joke.
Yes.
Good one.
Yeah, I know.
No, anyway, but it's exciting and I'm getting a lot better at it. And it's amazing how much just that half hour of like really specific training like helped with my punches and stuff. Because then the next day I went back to a class and was doing the double-ended bag. It's the bag that's strung.
Right.
Yeah, that has all the wangy
And
weirdness.
usually that bag bugs me because of all the weird jiggliness,
Yeah.
and it makes me dizzy.
Yeah.
But then that coach was teaching the class, and he was like, don't even look at it, just throw your punches, and every single one will connect if you do it right. And
It's the timing.
I did like a 1, 2, 3, 2, and it was like, pop, 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 pop. And I was like, oh, I hit it every time.
nice,
and he's like,
nice.
see, you're just... Like, it's helping you with timing, not with looking at the bag and aiming
Yeah,
for the
you're not.
bag.
Yeah, it's not like trying to hit a laser pointer or
Right.
something.
He's like, don't worry about that. And it's anyway, he's just really helping
Nice.
me. But I know I'll go to my main coach and tell him that, and he'll be like, We'll get to that
Right.
once you can last
sounds
through a
like
2-minute
Mr.
round.
Miyagi, you
Oh, he
know?
totally is. He totally is.
Wax on, wax off.
But it's one of those things where it's like he's got this long game going because, but I'm like, man, I've been doing this for 7 months.
Right, yeah.
Like, when are we gonna get to this? But it's like I
gonna boot
still
some
need.
head?
I know. I still need to lose like 40 more pounds before he'll really get up to a point where I can, dance on my toes for
once
4
a week
minutes.
or twice a week, or what?
Well,
are
I
you doing?
do 2 privates, and then I've committed to 2 other workouts. So I usually
About
do
4 a week.
Yeah, I usually do 2 privates, a day of running, and then I go to a beginner's class on Friday nights.
Okay.
So it's like
How
people.
far away is the gym?
It's half a block away from here.
Oh, cool.
So I live close, and then it's just up on Broadway and Broadway and Pike. I always get Pike and
how
Pine
much is
mixed
it?
up. I pay $250 a month.
Oh,
So
$250 a month.
Wow. That's open gym, 8 private lessons, and classes.
Okay.
So I get the deluxe package.
Wow.
There's only one package more than what I pay, which is 2-hour-long lessons a week. So it's an investment.
Yeah.
It is.
But it's if I was paying $40 to go to LA Fitness, I'd go twice and never go back. So to me, it's like if I'm not at that level, I'm not going to do it.
You're getting a lot of hands-on, at least.
Because you're paying for time.
Right.
That the guys.
Yeah. So how many hours a month do you get for just private time? What's that?
8 hours a month? Or wait, it's 8 half-hour. Or wait, it's 8 half-hour private lessons.
4 hours.
So 4 hours.
So it's about $60 a session, $65 a session, or something.
Yeah, well,
if
for
you
an
want to break it
hour-long
down
session. So it ends up being about $30 per private.
Okay.
Because they're half hour.
It's like
but I'm just saying, how much are you
even-
paying the guy an hour? Is it around 50? Okay,
But then if
that's
you
about
add
what someone's
in
time's worth.
my hour-longs on Fridays,
Yeah. Oh, sure.
it gets a lot cheaper.
It's actually a pretty good investment.
It's the cheapest private training you can get.
Huh.
Like
Yeah, it's pretty good.
when I
Nice,
went into
nice,
it,
that's
I
good,
was
yeah.
like, what? Like I wanted to do some personal training, and I started like pricing things out, and like the personal training stuff, like even regardless of boxing, which I think boxing is the biggest. Like to me, the best part of the personal training is the boxing training, but just straight personal training is usually like minimum $60 for a half hour.
Sure.
It's usually like it's expensive.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
It's not
anyway,
cheap.
yeah. To me, I feel like I'm getting a deal.
I guess,
So-
the reason why I asked, you've kind of piqued my interest.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know. I mean, I might be a little too old to,
No.
think
There's
about-
dudes way older than you who, I mean.
Right, but I don't have 20 years of doing it, know. I'm still.
Well, they're not
white
like
belt or whatever,
golden
so-
gloves or whatever, but they're doing
I
it.
mean, I've always thought that I could hit pretty hard,
Oh, I'm sure you could.
But, I don't know.
Totally. You should do it, and then we can fight each other.
There you go.
Yes.
I'm the one guy that you can hit.
Yeah, oh, totally. Rick can take it.
Yeah, just remember when we had the remote war.
One time I meant to throw a remote. I was trying to be.
You meant to throw? What do you mean? You clearly
No.
threw it.
I meant to like throw it in a like I'm mad but not trying to physically wound you way, and it just.
It was
point blank to the head.
About as far away as we were.
Just
right square in the temple.
Yeah, but see,
And-
I was trying to just throw it at you, not throw it at your head. But I have really bad aim. If I try to just like toss something to someone, it will go the opposite direction and hit someone else in the eye.
I
have
know
terrible
you
aim.
weren't trying to,
brain you with a remote.
You know, that's
But
it just
like,
hit me just
cleaned
right.
his clock.
And I couldn't eat.
I felt
it was just
bad.
right in the temple where your
yeah,
inside your head sort of.
It's you know what? That sounds like every sibling.
I know.
Oh yeah. Oh, some of the Spencer and Tom would.
I
get
learned how
into
to
it.
fight with my brothers. That's how I learned how to fight. I didn't need a boxing gym. I just fought my brothers.
Yeah, if I boxed my brother Tom, I'd have no problem. I've hit him in the face so many times. But like my favorite is to jump on the back and get him in a headlock. And then just like wrap his forehead with my knuckles, just like knocking on a door, but on your forehead.
He really got me once with the Polish arm wrestling. You ever done that?
Oh yeah, where you're pulling back.
Yeah.
Sock yourself
Oh
in the
yeah.
nose.
Yeah. I totally hook, line, and sinker with that. Just whacked me in the forehead. Oh, I was so pissed.
That's so funny.
It's once, right? He's only got you.
Oh yeah,
once.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Just the one
Once.
time.
If he's got me a couple times,
Nice.
I'll
Yeah.
win this time.
Yeah. Right.
Well, we're about out of time. So
Actually, what you do is you is you push into their head.
But
anyway.
they do
Yeah,
the
yeah.
same
It's
thing.
like that. If your hand's bigger than your face,
I know,
Right,
and
yep, yep.
smash it into them.
Yeah, because people want to see if they're retarded or not, or whatever. It
or
is.
you got cancer. Or something.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. Well, thanks for
It was
listening.
a good
Please
one.
tell a
Thanks
friend.
for tuning in.
And like us on Facebook. Subscribe to
If
our
you do.
YouTube page.
If you want.
If you want. You know,
I hate
do what
commercials
feels
lately
good.
have been irritating me because they're telling me what to do.
I know.
Like,
You know, like,
don't tell us what
I
to
do what I want, man.
Yeah. Or ask nicely.
Yes,
you know?
please.
Come to McDonald's, please.
Come to McDonald's.
Yeah, if
Should you choose to.
Yeah, not to product place or anything, but whatever the commercial is, stop telling me to do stuff.
Because you're loving it.
Yeah.
Am I? I didn't even know.
Right.
All right. Well, have a great week, and we will see you next week.